Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Kerrville is in the midst of a long road to recovery after devastating floods. Our team reports live. Plus, a Victoria County suspect now faces charges in 2 separate murders. We have the latest on this developing story. And an execution date is set for an autistic man, what his lawyers say the court got wrong.
We are looking at some tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico. This may or may not develop into a storm because it's so close to land, but it will be bringing rain to portions of the Gulf Coast. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And 2-star Victoria West volleyball stars prepared for the season out in the sand. We'll find out how they started playing later on.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shauna Curry. Don Brubaker is on assignment. Victoria County investigators plan to file another murder charge against 37-year-old Jacob Kelly, this time in connection to the death of Mitchell Hubbard. Kelly was arrested July 10th and already faces a long list of charges, including murder and aggravated assault in a separate shooting that killed Jeffrey Delaney and injured another person. Hubbard was found shot to death the next morning. An autopsy shows that he died from a gunshot wound to the head. Victoria police are investigating an auto pedestrian crash that happened Tuesday night on East North Street. Officers say 29-year-old Fernando Lamas Jr. was walking along the shoulder when he was hit by a car. He was taken to a local hospital, then airlifted out of town for more advanced treatment. The driver, 77-year-old Esperanza Villarreal, stayed at the scene and spoke with officers. Investigators say she did not see Lamas before hitting him. No citations have been issued at this time. Well, we are out of a boil water notice here in Victoria, but for our viewer poll today, we are asking if you trust the Victoria Water Department to prevent a similar issue from happening again. They have committed to a full investigation to look into what happened. So the options are yes, I trust the city, no, I do not trust the city, or I'm unsure. 65% say they do not trust the city, 66% now, 23% say they do trust the city, and then just over 10% are still contemplating that or not sure how they feel at this point. But we want to hear from you. Visit crossroadstoday.com/vote to let us know, and we'll have another look at these numbers on 25 News Now at 10. Organizations from across the state are on the ground in Kerrville, continuing to support families impacted by last week's devastating floods. 25 News Now weekend anchor Amaya Norman joins us live from Kerrville with the latest on the recovery efforts. Amaya?
As the Kerrville flood receded here in Kerrville, but rescue teams are working tirelessly to find missing people and to clean up in surrounding areas. But organizations from across Texas and all over came down to also help rescue teams by giving them water and helping them make sure they stay hydrated and give them the resources that they need. But so far, I have Captain Kenny, the commander officer of Salvation Army in Victoria, Texas. You came way down here as well as we came way down here. Give us a background of what your guys been doing all day. I see organizations giving out water, passing out food. Give us a background of what you guys doing and what are you accepting at this moment?
Okay, well, Amaya, I tell you what's going on is there's a lot of folks feeding. There's a lot of folks providing emotional, spiritual care. There's a lot of folks providing donations to us. Right now, what we need is monetary donations. We have an influx of goods. We don't need goods any longer. We need monetary donations. I don't want to be crass, but cash is king, because now we're going into the stage of recovery and helping people fix their homes with sheetrock, with appliances, all of those things, and that takes money. And so that's where we're at right now. The needs have been met as far as feeding, so we're at monetary donations and then emotional, spiritual care. That's where my group comes in. The pastors from around the state of Texas with the Salvation Army are here on the ground providing emotional, spiritual care, which means that we go out and we talk to homeowners, we talk to first responders, we talk to other emotional care officers, and they talk to us. We're all kind of leaning on each other, but we're trying to build that bridge between the loss and what God can do in the midst of that loss. And so that's where we're at right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Captain Kenny. And thank you. Reporting live from Kerrville, Amaya Norman, 25 News Now.
Two young Edna residents raised $12,000 for Camp Mystic following the devastating Hill Country flood on July 4th. You can read this article by visiting crossroadstoday.com. And here are some of the top headlines in this week's Port Lavaca Wave. Local teachers aid in flood relief in the Hill Country. Plus, the Port Lavaca City Council discusses slot machines in the city. To read these stories and more, go to portlavacawave.com. Flash flooding has surged into the spotlight this summer. From Texas to North Carolina to the Northeast, record-breaking flood events have happened back-to-back across the country. Michael Yoshida has more on what's behind the seemingly nonstop weather events that we have been seeing over the past several weeks.
Experts say a combination of factors are contributing to the intense rainfall and deadly flooding that have hit areas across the country, from the Texas Hill Country to New York City.
Heavy rain and deadly flash flooding putting communities across the United States underwater.
It feels like events like last night, again, not just in New Jersey, but as a general matter, are coming more frequently with more intensity.
Summer is flash flood season, when intense daytime heat can fuel thunderstorms and warm air can hold more moisture. But experts say these recent events were more significant for several reasons. Along with high daytime temperatures in parts of the country, we've also seen record levels of atmospheric moisture, which helped drive heavy rainfall that led to deadly flooding in Texas and North Carolina. Summer storms also tend to move more slowly or even stall due to winds in the upper atmosphere being weaker.
And as a result, just deluging places that are not designed to handle that amount of precipitation in that short a period of time.
Recent wildfires also causing problems in areas like Ruidoso, New Mexico, burning away vegetation, and in some areas the fire's extreme heat changing the soil's natural ability to absorb and slow down rainwater. Droughts can have a similar effect too, something we saw amplify deadly flooding in Texas. Urban areas are not immune either, where asphalt pavement and older drain systems can be overrun.
There is a growing recognition in financial markets, in the scientific community, and starting in infrastructure planning, that we are dealing with a much different beast in terms of the weather patterns that we're experiencing, and things have to change.
And more than 3,000 flash flood warnings have been issued this year so far by National Weather Service offices across the country. That's the highest total at this point in time in the year since the record started being taken back in 1986. In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
More areas could also see some heavy rain thanks to tropical activity. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez for a first look at our forecast. And Mac, what areas are we expecting to be hit or most impacted by this weather that we're watching in the Gulf?
Well, in the short term, it'll be the central Gulf Coast, basically Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, those areas. And there is the system right about there. It hasn't really organized because it's so close to land, but it has the potential still to bring tremendous rainfall to this area. All of these lines here are the spaghetti models that are all in agreement that it's going to go west for a day and then start turning on up. So let's hope that forecast holds together. We'll have more details on what to expect for the rest of your week coming up in a moment.
Fernando Acosta Jr. is due back in court 2 weeks from today for a pre-trial hearing ahead of his murder trial set for September now. Acosta is accused of killing Amanda Johnson, a single mom of two, whose body was found in her burned out SUV in Matagorda County back in 2021. The case has been delayed several times, but after more than 4 years, a jury is expected to hear the case starting September 8th. A Texas judge today set a new execution date for a man convicted of killing his daughter due to shaken baby syndrome. Robert Roberson, who is autistic, is now scheduled to be put to death on October 16th. A lawyer for Roberson argued that an appeal is pending and said a motion to withdraw the execution date would be filed soon. The 58-year-old was convicted in 2002 of the death of his daughter Nikki, who was just 2 years old. Investigators and doctors concluded she died from shaken baby syndrome. Roberson has maintained his innocence, and his attorneys insist there is a new understanding of shaken baby syndrome, which shows other medical factors can contribute to a child's death.
My thoughts are we've been doing this since 2016. We've had plenty of evidentiary hearings. He's had plenty of time to get it out there. This is his third execution date. It's time. It's no more waiting. I've never seen nothing else that proves why my sister's head was mush, or why her skull was crushed, or why her brain was bleeding. That doesn't happen from pneumonia. My sister was perfectly fine playing with me, He took her, and in 7 hours after that, she died. So what happened in them 7 hours? Because we've never heard it yet.
Roberson had a previous execution date which was halted due to legal maneuvering. The state attorney general has since pushed for a new date to be set. If his execution does go forward, Roberson would be the first person put to death in the U.S. in a case of shaken baby syndrome. You can celebrate Christmas in July at the annual Nativity exhibit in Port Lavaca. This free event showcases over 1,000 nativity scenes from around the world. It runs July 25th through the 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day at the Red Barn on Highway 35. It's even been featured on the Texas bucket list. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell to receive alerts. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6. A new law targets deadly fentanyl knockoffs. How President Trump says it could bring justice for victims. Plus, growing divide over the Epstein files. How Trump and top Republicans are clashing on the case.
Behind closed doors, too many voices go unheard. In Breaking the Silence, domestic violence on the Crossroads.
People who are going through this know that they are not alone and that they can get the help they need and the help that they deserve, that they don't need to be scared. There is people that care about them.
Amaya Norman brings their stories to light and shows how our community is stepping up to help. A 25 News Now Extra you can't afford to miss.
President Trump held a signing ceremony at the White House this afternoon for the Halt Fentanyl Act. Gathered in the East Room, leaders of organizations working to stop the fentanyl crisis, everyday Americans who have lost their loved ones due to fentanyl, and lawmakers. The bipartisan legislation amends the Controlled Substances Act to permanently classify illicit fentanyl knockoffs known as fentanyl-related substances as Schedule 1, a category reserved for the most dangerous drugs. President Trump called it a historic step toward justice for fentanyl victims.
We'll be getting the drug dealers, pushers, and peddlers off our street, and we will not rest until we have ended the drug overdose epidemic. And it's been getting a little bit better, but it's horrible.
Under the Halt Fentanyl Act, anyone who possesses, imports, distributes, or manufactures fentanyl-related substances will be subject to criminal prosecution. Some of President Trump's most loyal allies are dissatisfied with the decision to not release additional files from the Jeffrey Epstein case. And now he is pushing back against them, saying he doesn't need their support anymore. Julia Benbrook is at the White House with the latest on the Epstein files controversy as it threatens to further divide the MAGA base.
In a scathing Truth Social post, President Donald Trump accused some of his supporters of falling prey to a hoax, calling those who are questioning his administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files, quote, weaklings. He went as far as to say that he doesn't want their support anymore as the topic continues to divide his base.
Some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net
Last week, the Department of Justice issued a memo that said Epstein had not been murdered in prison, nor did he have an incriminating client list, contradicting some of the conspiracy theories previously promoted by members of the Trump administration. The memo came months after Attorney General Pam Bondi hyped soon-to-be-released documents and suggested she had the so-called client list on her desk. She has since suggested she was referring to other documents. A growing number of Republicans are pushing for more transparency. On Tuesday, House Speaker Mike Johnson became the highest-ranking Republican to say he wants to see more details about the DOJ's investigation.
We need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, they were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody.
A CNN poll conducted after the memo's release shows that half of Americans are dissatisfied with the amount of information the federal government has released about the case. At the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
As prices rise for American consumers, President Trump is doubling down on tariffs. Today's producer price index follows yesterday's consumer price index, which showed inflation increasing. Trump plans to impose pharmaceutical tariffs by the end of the month, possibly up to 200%, plus a 19% tariff on Indonesian goods soon. The latest CPI shows inflation rose slightly from May to June and is up nearly 3% year over year. Most economists say tariffs fuel inflation, but Trump disagrees, noting that American businesses pay these import costs. Here are some of the top headlines in this week's Cuero Record. A convoy takes aid from DeWitt County to the Texas Hill Country after the deadly flooding there. And junior firefighters pick up the torch in the Nordheim Volunteer Fire Department. To read these stories and more, visit DeWittCountyToday.com.
And good afternoon, everybody. It's 92 degrees. Our temperatures are really going to start pushing into the upper 90s over the next couple of days. Winds kind of south at 15 miles an hour. Our high today was 94, which was not as warm as our average high temperature. We'll be taking a look at the tropics to see what that's going to do to the Gulf Coast coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. We have a little dry period for about a day or two until we see what the Gulf is going to do, because it's getting rather interesting out there. There you see abundant sunshine today with temperatures warming up. West Texas finally got a break. They got some sunny skies and some drier weather. Boy, they have been through the mill on that, but it looks like all of that moisture is now tracking into northern Mexico and the mountains up there, but that could affect the Big Bend. So at least, you know, our friends here in the Hill Country have a little bit of a break. Here's what we're talking about. This is a storm, a potential storm system, tropical storm, but it's going to have a real hard time organizing. Regardless, it's going to be kind of a problem for the central Gulf Coast. What we have is an area of low pressure spinning right about there. That is headed toward Louisiana right now. And the reason is that it's because it's so close to land, it's having a tough time organizing, which is fine. But at least we know that this area of the world is going to be looking at some very, very heavy rain. Now, the other question is what happens once it moves west? Well, it's still called an invest 93L. The center is right off the coast of Panama City, Florida. You can see it right about there. And it continues drifting to the west. And the computer models are all in good agreement that it's going to go in that direction. And then right about here, it should make this turn as it goes into Louisiana. So what about us? Well, it's going to be real close, okay? So we're going to have to watch it. Here's what we expect in Future Tracker on the amount of precipitation and where it's going to go. So obviously Louisiana, obviously New Orleans, obviously western Louisiana, and there's the Sabine River. So it looks like Houston, Beaumont, Port Arthur, and those areas are going to get some significant rain out of this. We are absolutely on the outer margin of that. So let's just say our chance of rain will increase here slightly, but if you're going up to Houston, you're really going to run into it over the next 2 days. One thing that's sort of inhibiting the strength of this is the Saharan dust layer, which is on top of us right about now. That is going to drift up and sort of weaken, so that activity there in the central portions of the Gulf will be quite busy. About 3 days from now, we've got another big plume coming at us of dust coming at us from the Yucatan, but that's going to be a while before it gets close enough to land. So here's Future Tracker. You can see how the stormy weather will continue rolling around, and there is, Austin, there's Victoria, there's Houston. So you can see how most of it really hitting Louisiana and portions of East Texas over the next couple of days. Chances for it to really strengthen to a tropical named storm are very slim. Nonetheless, it's going to rain a lot, so we can't just dismiss it. Looking partly cloudy for tomorrow and a high of about 94. In Cuero, you're going to get up to about a 96, so we're still on the sunny side for tomorrow. But as we get to Friday, your rain chance does increase slightly. And if you're going up to Wharton or anywhere in that area, you're going to have a higher chance, and that would include both Friday and Saturday before it decreases. But get a load of these temperatures next week, pushing to the upper 90s, 97, 98. By the time we get to next week. That's your forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, and if you do, you can put Crossroads Today on your phone. Right now, we'll toss it back to Shauna.
This is our typical summer weather. I feel like you're in that cut and paste season of summertime. So, all right, well, things are heating up outside. Things are also heating up in sports. Here is Max Williams.
Absolutely, Shauna. Again, it was a little bit hot out there today, but again, I got through it, right? Because I also had to talk about some indoor activities. Full Force Gym, they competed hard at the Stars and Stripes competition out there in Minneapolis. We'll hear one of the top gymnasts coming up in sports. This past weekend, two-star Victoria West volleyball players and Avery Griffin and Isabella Bizel competed out there in Ellis Beach. That was out there in Corpus Christi. Both of these star volleyball players, they're trying to improve their skills from the sand volleyball court over to their senior seasons out there for coming up in the fall. And also they're preparing to play sand and also volleyball out there in college in 2026. So Griffin and Bizel mentioned how they both started playing sand volleyball and how that can translate over to this season.
Me and Bella had the bright idea whenever we heard St. Joe had a sand tournament to come over here and just give it a shot and see if we liked it. And whenever we played and we ended up winning, we found that we really loved it. And so we looked into a bunch of different clubs, and then that's how we landed on going to Ellis Beach and Corpus.
Volleyball is a very communication. It's all about communicating, and I definitely think me and Avery could take that to West, to high school. Without communicating in sand volleyball, it would be crazy all over the place, wouldn't be able to get a ball up.
Now, both Griffin and Bizel believe this sand volleyball season can help out their chemistry. Like you said, they had to get it from St. Joe again to start off their season. So guess what? It worked out for them because, again, they're going to start up there. Again, those two-a-days, everything else are going to start around early August. What about Full Force Gym? They're getting ready to wrap up their season as that they were out there in Minneapolis for the Stars and Stripes competition. And one of the gymnasts, Harper Majewski, won Level 6 double mini national champion. That would make it 25 years in a row for Coach Chad Ganaway that he's got a national champion on his team. Also, Corey Weinheimer was silver in Level 7 double mini, and Mackenzie Cantrell was third in Level 6 trampoline. So earlier today, I talked to the national champion herself and Harper Majewski about her favorite moment out there in Minnesota and what she'll learn from this experience.
To the Mall of America and got on rides, and it was really fun with all my friends there. I'm going to take how I did so good at double mini, put it on all the other ones, and get first overalls on the other ones.
Now, Harper and Full Force have officially finished up the summer season, so again, they're not going to be back until next year, but again, they're still going to do well. They have multiple champions out there from Minneapolis as well. Now, one thing that's happened out nationally, though, we got the 2025 ESPYs on here right tonight. It's going to be on KAV-TV at 7 p.m. And again, the host there, Shane Gillis, going to be hosting it again for later tonight. We're going to see if there's any top people from the ESPYs, whether it's top awards, top names. They're for our 25 News Now Sportscast at 10 p.m. That's going to do it here in sports. Shauna, back to you.
All right, we're back in a moment. Police in Maine respond to reports. That's pretty usual, but they end up finding something very unusual. Police in Brunswick, Maine got quite the surprise Tuesday night. A call about a loose bird came in, turned into a face-off with an emu. The big bird had busted out of its yard and gone on what officers called a little adventure. According to the department's Playful Post, the emu made a brief dash into the road before casually settling down in the parking lot of a hospital, like it had an appointment or something. Thankfully, the feathered fugitive waited patiently for its humans to show up and escort it safely back home. So I guess just another day in Maine. I don't know if that's a common sighting there.
Yeah, never been up to Maine, so we couldn't really tell you. So.
It could be. It could be a big deal in Maine, that, for all we know. You know,
you never know. It could be more than.
Definitely a story to tell. At least.
What we know for sure is that summers are hot here, and now we're going to be looking at temperatures pushing up into the upper 90s. So yeah, it's going to be on the warm side, and of course the heat index and all that stuff. But for Friday, Saturday, we have a slight increase in the chance of rain because of that arrival of that tropical system that's going to roll into Louisiana. So between here and Houston, the rain chance really goes up. So if you're going northeast, you're going to have to deal with it. If you're staying in town, we'll see a few little showers, and that's about it for Friday.
All right, so Galveston Beach Day on Saturday may not be ideal.
On Saturday, by then the storm will have turned. I think let's go.
Might be okay.
Let's go. Let's go.
We'll be keeping an eye on it.
Get the ice chest ready. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.